It's time to put the remote control down. The talking heads are done. It's time for unfiltered takes over a nightcap. You're invited inside to discuss the weekend's biggest disasters, the surprising heroes, and everything that got missed over the course of the weekend. This is where the best late-night sports talk happens. Welcome inside the ETB Lounge. And now, here's your bartender of banter for the evening, Callan McClurg. The dark side did not just rise in Santa Clara, it extinguished the lights on the Patriots dynasty. Welcome in, everybody, to the night after Super Bowl 60 and the first show out of the box on ETB, where tonight in our universe, Sam Darnold is now a Super Bowl champion. The Seahawks defense is once again legendary, and New England just learned that miracles don't happen in the dark. My name is Callan McClurg, and if you somehow, some way had Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III and Lombardi Trophy winner Sam Darnold on your NFL bingo card for the season, please see me after the show so we can talk about your time-traveling abilities, please and thank you. We just happened to sit through a 29-13 demolition where Seattle's defense, the self-proclaimed dark side, did not just beat the Patriots, but they utterly dismantled New England, sacking Drake May not once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, or even 5 times. They sacked him 6 times and forced not 1, not even 2, 3 turnovers, including a pick 6 that basically turned Levi Stadium into a library by the end of the 4th quarter. And, of course, there is Nick Morgeson's guy, Sam Darnold. The man who once saw a ghost against this very franchise just played a 0-turnover masterclass on the biggest stage in the world and did not need to be a hero, just simply needed to be a ghostbuster. And guess what? He did exactly that. However, though, the real story, the one that's going to have the New England medical staff updating their resumes today, is what really happened, though, to Drake May. We had spent 2 weeks hearing about this shoulder being fine and ready to go. Well, after the final whistle, the truth came out that May was playing on a prayer and a massive pregame injection just to feel his throwing arm. He was out there playing in a fog, and it sadly showed. A brutal reality for a kid who fought like hell. But in this league, the dark side doesn't seem to care about your medical reports whatsoever. We've got all the receipts on that legendary defensive performance, the fallout from Drake May's injection scandal, and we'll also discuss why Kenneth Walker III, after a 135-yard MVP performance, is officially the most popular and soon-to-be richest man in the upcoming NFL free agency market. As always, gang, the scoreboards are off, the stadiums are empty, but in here, the lights stay on, and the conversation is just getting started. The ETB Lounge officially is open at the bar tonight. The man who keeps the tabs flowing and the checks signed as well, our good man Nick Morgeson, our analytical whiz kid Dino Taibbi. And because we're only to have a laugh about the Patriots and maybe about Cardi and Stefon Diggs, we welcome on our Saturday night comedy headliner, Mr. John Ladder, also joining us on the lounge tonight. Panel, Darnold has a ring, Drake May has a doctor's appointment, and I'm pretty sure the city of Seattle is currently out of champagne. We need to, and we are going to get to work here this evening with our biggest win on tap, guys, for our opening 3 segments here for the evening. With that in mind, though, Nick Morgeson, I'll start with you. The biggest win on tap, no surprise. Seahawks win 29-13 over the Patriots. Nick, simple as this, my man. This was not a game, but a softening process. Kenneth Walker III, 135 yards rushing, was running like a man possessed out there, while the defense made Drake May look like a rookie once again. So, Nick, with the Seahawks winning, did Mike Macdonald build a defense better than the Legion of Boom era, or was New England's offense or offensive line did they simply fail to show up to work on Sunday? Your thoughts and your takeaway from the Seahawks winning their 2nd Super Bowl in franchise history on Monday.
I think the Seahawks played really good football. I mean, I think that Sam Darnold came out and did the job. By the way, our as John would know, our former quarterback finally making us look terrible. Finally, but he outdueled Drake May. It's plain and simple. Drake May forgot that there was a Super Bowl to play in, and what did he get sacked? Like 6-7 times, I want to say, in this game, at least. The offensive line, which usually was pretty good for New England, was just not there. This game was all Seattle. It was a Seattle beatdown. And even without JSN having his best game, either going into the locker room with a concussion and somehow coming back and playing, which that's a whole nother question for another day. I think Jason Myers should have been the MVP, not Kenneth Walker. Because if it's not for Jason Myers, they don't have the cushion to allow the defense to play and kind of map out consistency for the rest of the game. Don't get me wrong. Kenneth Walker had 160 plus yards, total scrimmage yards. And he had a great game. But Jason Myers hit a record 5 field goals in a Super Bowl. It's never happened before. And you have to go back in the 60-year history. There's never been a kicker that's been named a Super Bowl MVP, ever. So, long story short, this was Seattle's day. And New England's got to go figure some things out.
John, I'm going to go to you on the next one, again, about the game, maybe your thoughts on where things have been standing. Obviously, it was very much of, seeing, reading the box score, seeing the highlights. Again, I was watching the Olympics all day yesterday while the game was in progress, essentially. I came over to watch halftime, and that was about it over the course of the game and maybe a couple of the commercial spots. But just, reading over the box score, watching highlights, this was a game, though, that was just marred, though, by this being, a snooze fest. Like the Seahawks would be, driving down the field, though, then they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. Or again, the Patriots, of course, having their own problems, too, though. I don't think they got a first down until there was a penalty call, I think, in the third or fourth quarter of the ball game as well. So with that, though, John, in mind, your thoughts about seeing the Seahawks win their second title in franchise history. What do you got? John, you're on mute, buddy.
You're on mute. Go on mute.
John, I think you're muted, buddy. Still. Hang on a sec. There we go.
Hello?
There we go.
Hello? Oh, wow. I was saying something so prolific, too. You had to be there. Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me here. I would like to say that New England will forever be known for their best clam chowder. That is about it. That is the only respect that I will give New England. They did not deserve to be in this game. Seattle is a complete team from start to finish. They have shut them down at every moment. The streaker ran on the field had more yardage than Stefon Diggs. They
So
did not
Bad
utilize.
Bunny.
Yeah, it was. As a Jets fan, it was fantastic. As a football fan, it was awesome. Yeah, I know the whole thing. Sam Darnold, blah blah blah. We didn't fuck up. Minnesota fucked up. They should have kept them. So they should be in fucking timeout right now. I am a fan of what happened. It's a testament of what they are and what they are becoming. Sam Darnold, shout out to Sam Darnold. Shout out to Richard Dick Hammer, his grandfather, the Marlboro Man. I'm sure he'd be proud of Sam Darnold. It was great. It was fantastic. And I'm looking for more. Like, I want to see more. I want to see some good memes out there.
I think we have to have a few good memes, that's for sure.
So many.
So I guess, Dino, your thoughts on how this game went, though. Obviously, it was kind of, field goal for the first half. But I also think, though, this became more about, and I think Tom Albano may have actually even said in either the Slack chat or maybe he even said, though, too, during the course of the postgame show last night about he got tired of the game in a way because he kept tweeting out. He was tweeting, score updates, basically. Every other play he tweeted out, punt, 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 punt for the Patriots. Dino, your thoughts, though, about how the Seahawks won this game and how the defense maybe in a way getting close to where they were at one point with the Legion of Boom, now with the new iteration, though, but they call themselves the Dark Side. Your thoughts on how Seattle won this game?
Yeah, it was definitely a defensive masterclass, pretty much. While it was a bit of a snooze fest to actually watch, I did imagine this being more of a defensive battle. These are two defensive teams. They're not really known for their offenses other than Jackson Smith and Jigba, who obviously led the league in receiving. But other than him, neither of them are really like offensive powerhouses, I would say. So the fact that it came down to the defenses does not surprise me, but the Patriots just were not able to do anything. They just were punting the entire first half, and Seattle was able to get good enough field position to get some points on the board. And in the second half, it forced New England into more passing situations, and that just didn't work out. Drake May, whether he was hurt or not, just did not seem ready for the big stage, and Seattle just dominated, overpowered them.
Nick, I think, though, Dino makes a valid point, though. We talked I think it linked on the post-game show on Sunday. Can we stop with this whole BS of blaming Drake May for the game last night? I mean, I think that the commentary that we've been hearing, Ben Cruz, obviously, who, to his credit, came on the show last night despite the loss. And, yourself and Ben, even today during the course of the day in our Slack channels, we're even saying, anyone out there who's picking apart Drake May in his second full year as a quarterback into the Super Bowl, needs to just sit down and be quiet and enjoy what he did, though. So, Nick, your thoughts on the banter about Drake May and your thoughts about how the narrative that was being painted that he kind of in a way has become the scapegoat for a game that he didn't lose solely by himself.
Well, first of all, he's 22 years old. I mean, most people at 22 years old are not ready to do anything adult-like, to be honest. But I would say that this is typical for a first time in the Super Bowl. Do you expect any quarterback to win their first time in the Super Bowl?
Hell, no.
And when first of all, he had a shoulder injury most of the week, which most people are not talking about. He actually got a cortisone right before the game, from what I understood. So his shoulder was barking the entire week, on top of him having the flu at the beginning of the week. So I don't think he was 100% going into this game whatsoever. But again, Seattle's defense is number one. Seattle had the best defense the entire year. It was not a discussion. The offensive side was another story, whether they would have enough to get to the Super Bowl and compete. But you know what? Kenneth Walker did enough offense for the entire team to really hold them up. But the Drake May slander is kind of ridiculous. And this is coming from a Jet fan. And actually, the three of us below are Jet fans. So we're all, as a miserable Jet fan brigade sitting below you, Callan, who probably doesn't want to see the Pats win, I think we got to ease up on Drake May. Drake May's going to be a good quarterback. Now, I don't think the MVP debate and the MVP race should have been as close as it was, that he only lost by one first-place vote. Matthew Stafford totally outplayed Drake May in the regular season. And people can at me as much as they want. I don't care. Matthew Stafford had 45 or 46 touchdowns to a 7-interception ratio. You're telling me that doesn't deserve a runaway for the MVP? Drake May had a great regular season. Again, not taking that away. But Matthew Stafford was the better quarterback. In the playoffs, Drake May was not great at all. It was the defense that held up the Patriots all the way to the Super Bowl. I'll put an asterisk next to the snow game because no one was scoring in that game whatsoever. So I don't hold that game against either quarterback that was in that game whatsoever. But the defense is what held them in, not May.
Yeah, John, I agree with Nick, and I think that the panel, I think, that you all are in mutual agreement, even as, fans of a rival organization. Come on, it's the dude's first time playing on that stage. I mean, it's nothing like playing maybe in a CFP game at North Carolina, for example, when he was in college or any of that sort of thing. Nothing replaces the Super Bowl. Even I know that as a fan who divorced the NFL 9 years ago. There's no bigger stage in sports that is not the Super Bowl. I mean, we can talk about other things, though, but nothing along the lines of the Super Bowl. So, John, where do you stand, though, about maybe some of the slander towards Drake May when, in fact, that, this game had ended, though, but it was all about, Drake May losing this game for New England, not the team losing as a whole?
I think he's a great quarterback. I do. I cannot shit on him. I mean, look at Jaden Daniels' first year. Sometimes you have it or you don't. You know what I mean? Drake May has proved this point, but postseason, it was very lackluster. You got to remember, he got sacked 6 times yesterday, so he's not being properly protected. You know what I mean? Like, you could easily blame him, like, oh, Drake May, blah, blah, but there's a lot more to it. He wasn't protected. And you know what's funny? Like, when you see a quarterback get sacked, and you're like, oh, they're just going to get up. There's got to be a mental thing going on. Because now you're scared. You're not sure what the hell's going to happen. Are you going to be protected? No, I think he's going to be fine as a quarterback. I do. I just think he was disappointing postseason, and the defense definitely took them to where they are right now. There would have been no way that they would have got this far with the defense. The defense has been proven, to be effective. You can clearly see it, how far it took them.
Well,
yeah, I mean, Dino, I
just want to say one thing. Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. I think the internal clock of Drake May was not there the entire game, because he was about, what would you say, John, like 2 seconds, 3 seconds behind. It seemed like every time he was getting sacked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, every time.
The internal clock, because that's what happens when a quarterback snaps to get the football. They're like, all right, I have one option here, one option here, one option here. And he was just holding the ball for what felt like an eternity. And that's why he kept getting sacked.
And I also think, though, that some of the scrutiny, I think, and if there is going to be scrutiny, which I don't like individuals being ratted out in a team game like we've been hearing about Drake May. And I also know, though, that I think I may have overheard Collinsworth and Tirico even saying, hey, the left side of this line for them on offense, they're both rookies. There's never been two rookies who've started a Super Bowl, I think, on the same side of the line, apparently, in game history. And you definitely could tell, though, that they were certainly overwhelmed a little bit. So, Dino, to go back to the original point, though, I mean, I don't get it, but your thoughts about the very much, I think, unnecessary banter sent the way of Drake May after his first debut in his Super Bowl debut.
Yeah, I feel like people do tend to overreact, and especially when the lights are as bright as they are on Super Bowl Sunday, people always overreact. I mean, first, after he had a great regular season, people were ready to put him on a pedestal and call him the next coming of Tom Brady. And now just because he had a horrible postseason, they're ready to be like, well, no, the Patriots need a new quarterback. I mean, that's a little over. That's definitely an overreaction. That he still had a great regular season. He's still their quarterback of the future for now. Obviously, he's 22 years old. He has a long way to go. He has a lot to improve on. And there's no doubt that they're going to be riding with him for the next few years, in my opinion. And
yeah, I think the slander of Drake May is absolutely unnecessary. I don't like when individuals get blamed in a team sport. It's a collective letdown by their offense in general. The defense tried to keep the ship, afloat as much as they could. I mean, they did their job, holding Seattle to those, first, 4 or 5 field goals in the game until the levee finally broke and severed, for them as the game had gone on. With that, John, we'll kick off our next segment here with you with the Flat Beer Award. No surprise, some very much flat Sam Adams in New England. The Pats only put up 13 points late in the game, but it was pretty much cosmetic. They were down 19-0 in the fourth quarter, and that was basically all she wrote in Santa Clara. John, in your thoughts, though, is there such a thing as competitive garbage time, or was the Patriots just basically stat padding against a prevent defense where it looked like, in a way, John, perhaps maybe Seattle kind of took their foot off the gas defensively late in the game when they had the big enough lead at the end?
I definitely think towards the end that Seattle started going a little more easy. Like, they obviously knew, the direction of everything, but I definitely think that they were going a little easy at that point. But never for a second did I think that they had this. Because if you remember the famous 28-3 New England Atlanta game, so like in the back of my head, I'm just like, just calm down. It's not over. I don't care if it's the fourth quarter and 5 minutes left. Anything can fucking happen. But I definitely think that they went easy on them. And there's sort of a time, like if you watched New England on the bench, they kind of knew it was over. Like they kind of knew. They're sitting there. You see they're all pissed. Some of them are hugging each other. So there comes a certain point where it's over. Like it's over. But I definitely think that Seattle went easy fight-wise.
Dino, it definitely looked like, though, that the Seahawks kind of, in a way, called off the Dogs late as the fourth quarter had gone on in the ball game on Sunday. And like I was kind of saying, though, they put up 13 points. So, but again, it was purely much already academic, wash the hands, call the bus, take the kids home from school. But Dino, in your mind, though, is there such a thing as competitive garbage time, though, or simply did the Patriots just stat pad against a prevent defense where, like I think John and I both agree, they basically kind of in a way let their foot off the gas because the game was pretty much already in the bag?
I mean, at 19-0, it's obviously very easy as a defense to maybe let your foot off the gas. I think it probably happened last year as well when the Eagles were up so big on the Chiefs.
Right.
And that's why the Chiefs were able to just throw some bombs in the second half of that game to put up points. Otherwise, the Eagles had put on just as much of a defensive masterclass last year as the Seahawks did this year. But, I feel like this game was a little bit more competitive because the Patriots were down 19-7 and driving to potentially make it 19-14. And at that point, we would have definitely had a game because there was still, I believe, like 7 minutes left at that point. And they would have only been down one possession. So if Drake May had not thrown that interception and they would have scored on that drive, we would have had a game for sure. So I wouldn't say it was completely out of hand at that point. And like John said, this is the team that came back from down 28-3. I mean, it's not the same team, not the same players, but, it is the same franchise.
I catch your drift, though, yeah. Yeah.
So, I would say the game was still in the balance at that point, which is why Seattle perhaps woke themselves up a little bit and came up with that big-time interception, and that kind of sealed the game at that point.
Nick, I'm glad that both John and Dino brought up about the 28-3 game because, it is New England, as Dino said, though, again, not the same team, with Edelman and Brady and Gronk and those guys, but it's still the same organization who, pulled that rabbit out of their hat in Atlanta, against the Falcons down in Houston, I believe, at Super Bowl 51 or 52, whatever it may have been. But I also, Nick, though, look back, though, at that drive, as I think John and Dino both alluded to, like it was the first sustained drive I think I recall seeing in the highlight package of them actually moving down the field, like, trying to, get this lead and deficit cut down, though. And then what does Drake May do? He inadvertently throws the interception, which kind of in a way kills the momentum of that. So, Nick, your thoughts on the Pats putting up 13 points, though, but all of it being in garbage time against the defense who was basically playing backups, it looked like at that point in time.
I thought the game was over after the half. I'm just going to strictly say that now. I think that New England had no chance. Now, you have to remember, obviously, you had a huge Hall of Famer in Tom Brady to get you back from a 28-3 deficit. That's a little different than having a second-year guy in Drake May trying to get you back from a 19-0 deficit. Little bit different when you have a Hall of Famer of that status who has that experience to say, all right, guys, let's calm down. Let's figure it out. Let's get back on track. Let's make it. First of all, New England still shouldn't have won that game, being
Correct.
down 28-3.
Yes.
That was Atlanta's still getting clowned to this day, losing.
Oh, they're always going to get clowned for that game, believe me.
So I think that game had a little bit of luck involved because everything had to go right in the second half for New England to win that game. In this game, you could just tell from the offset by the time the second quarter ended and trailing like that there just was no, like the air was out of the sails of the Patriots once they got to the half. It's almost like whatever game plan they went into, like they almost forgot they had to play offense. And like they actually had to go out there and put points up. And then it took until about halfway through the third quarter for a touchdown to finally be thrown. And you're just like, all right, finally, a little bit of action. Like the Patriot offense woke up. And you're just like, oh, wait, they remembered they had to play football. And you know what? And the stat that makes me laugh the most in this game, and I don't know how Next Gen Stats got this.
Oh, the fact that Bad Bunny had more yards gained during the halftime show than the Patriots did for the full game.
He ran 124 rushing yards, because he was holding a football and running back and forth. He ran more than the Patriots offense did the entire game with 79 rushing yards.
What?
Love it.
So, I mean, that's great. I think what's also funny, and I'm sure we're going to get to it too, is apparently Stefon Diggs and Cardi B broke up during the game. Also, which I think John is probably happy about.
Oh, I think we should. You know what? I think we should get to that right now so we can cross that bridge. With that in mind, Nick, I think we have some audio, or do we have something though that we're going to be showing here?
Well, this was for Patriot fans, how they felt. But
oh yeah, let's go and check in on how our friends up in New England are doing as we near America's 250th birthday. As soon as Nick can pull it up here on screen,
I have it right here. This
so
was at a Super Bowl party. Now I think this was staged. I don't know. But this is what happened to a TV screen after a certain thing happened. Let's play this here.
Oh my goodness. Boy.
All that prep to put together that beautiful gathering.
What a waste of food.
Right?
What a waste of food right there.
Wow.
Wait, would you say that was like a little bit of the Bills where they send fans flying through the table before the game?
I love that.
I was like, wow, like that's.
I was at a Buffalo game. It was the 49ers and Buffalo. It was during the Colin Kaepernick era. And me and my friends were in the tailgate. The tailgate is like fucking
yes. What the hell?
Thunder Alley. The tailgate is like Thunder Alley. Like anything can go down. And there was this guy. We're walking around. This guy picked up this girl, grabbed her, put her to the fucking table, right? And then he grabbed her up, and then he started making out. Fucking romantic. Right?
So they tried to put it. Tried to put her through a table.
He put her through a table because that's what Buffalo does.
Yeah, that's
Buffalo. Yeah. He put her through the fucking table, and then he picked her up, and then they started making out, and then I found out that they were engaged.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's fucking romantic. You know, we could say what we want to say. That's beautiful.
Only in Buffalo, New York. Am I right or am I right?
Wait a minute. If they weren't married, that would be abuse, right?
I would think so. I would think that we'd be having a different conversation.
Okay, just want to make sure because if there's no ring on that finger, and you're putting a woman through a table, that might be claims for cancellation. Just saying.
That is how he introduced her. Because I was talking to one of the guys there, because this is like a big crowd. That's how he introduced his fiance to his friends and her friends. They were all there.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Oh my God.
I love football. Football, like the fact that people say football is boring, and then when you just see what we just saw, like, how do you not love football? Like the most angriest, emotional.
Don't say that to Callan.
I love it.
I've been a divorced fan for 9 years since the Chargers left San Diego for LA.
Yeah, he's an angry Chargers fan because the Spanos family moved them to LA.
Yeah.
But
so I fill my weekends now with the other version of football, which is soccer, because we have a team here now. 2 of them actually.
Oh, there you go.
So
I don't know. I find that hilarious.
We get rowdy at our tailgates, but we don't put people through tables But
that's the Buffalo tradition, though.
I know. It's crazy.
I'm trying to think.
That's just the way how they do it.
I'm trying to
think. Can we see that
picture,
Nick?
What?
Can we see that picture of that beautiful tattoo?
Oh yeah, let me grab it. I gotta grab it. 1 second.
Okay. By the way, that video was the bar brawl moment of our first segment of the day. By the way, because a full-fledged barroom brawl broke after that dude shattered that damn television.
That's so crazy. What a beautiful TV too.
A broken table.
Yeah. Oh. Here we go.
Oh boy, this is
interesting. You're talking about this.
Love it. Love it,
man.
Isn't it true that some people make bets on the Super Bowl with getting tattoos and stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think.
Beautiful.
ESPN did like a 30 for 30 or something on a fantasy football league that every year
Right.
the bet was to get the losing or getting like the losing team's team on
Care
there.
Bear.
Yes.
I think one of my favorites was they made the dude stay at Waffle House for 24 hours, and every time he would eat an order of pancakes or waffles, it took an hour off of his punishment.
Yes, so you have to spend 24 hours in a pancake
Waffle
house. Well, or whatever it was. And what was it you had to do to get rid of an hour each time?
You had to eat either a stack of pancakes or eat a waffle.
That
And those
just
waffles
sounds,
at Waffle House are giant, like they're plate-sized waffles. Like they're not easy to eat.
well, you realize that's just like stacking up inside your stomach, eating pancakes.
At least you can use the bathroom, but still.
Yeah, but spiritual. God.
I'm sorry. I am in a fantasy football league. It's like 12 years now, and I used to be the commissioner of it. And so what we did, it was a punishment league. I said straight up, we're going to go punishment all the way. Like, if you want to do this, we're going to do this. And at first, everybody was on board. Like, it was getting fucking crazy. Like, it went from a clown. When I was younger, I was petrified of clowns. So my friends hired a clown to go to the draft, because the punishment takes place at the draft itself for 7 rounds. So, when I was younger, like I was at like a circus, and there was like a clown in the corner, and all the lights were off, and it was staring at me, and I pissed myself, petrified. I made the mistake of telling my animals, aka my friends, about this. And then so at a punishment, when I lost one year, we're all hanging out having a good time, and then the fucking clown shows up. The clown showed up late because his car broke down, so he took an Uber.
Go on.
So that was the first thing. As soon as he shows up, everybody gets quiet. Like, oh, here we go. He had a duck, a stupid duck, and he would honk it or whatever. So he was supposed to be messing with me the entire time. He's supposed to like throw you off your picks or whatever. So he comes up to me, and I'm talking to him about my imaginary kids, trying to make them nice. Let me tell you, my friend spent $200. They cured me, because now I love clowns. I wish I had a clown here with me right now to join us.
All right,
Wow, that is a great story.
They got rid of your phobia then.
Love clowns now.
By the way, there were so many weird phobias out there. Like, I've looked up so many of these. There's one there's one I love, and it's called tristadecaphobia.
What's that one?
I think it's fear of the number 13. I'm looking this up.
Fear of the number 13.
Oh, God.
There's some people who are, yeah. But
Yeah, it is. It's the fear or avoidance of the number 13. Why do you think a lot of buildings in New York City don't have a 13th floor?
Or buildings in general. The local courthouse, when I was at jury duty, doesn't have a 13th floor.
I think that's a superstition thing, if I had to take a guess.
Thing.
I would think so. What about Iraqi buddy phobia?
Which one?
It's called Iraqi buddy phobia. It's the fear of peanut butter being stuck in the top of your mouth.
Wait, really?
Yep. That's not weird at all.
No, that's not weird at all. But I'm saying I've never heard it that way.
Okay, so here's a list real quick before we get back to the sports talk.
Oh, God.
Common phobias include the fear of flying. No surprise.
Well, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I kind of get that way sometimes. Fear of spiders.
Arachnophobia. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat.
How about fear of colors?
Whoa.
colors.
Be careful with that one.
Yeah.
Careful with that one.
How about the fear of dogs? I literally have my dog in my lap because he's been out of control the last half an hour.
Oh, here's a good one. Nomophobia.
Nomophobia?
It's the fear of being without your mobile phone.
That kind of explains 2026, doesn't it?
Wait, that sounds like the Generation Z below
Gen
us
Z.
right now. Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Let's see. Oh, Plutophobia is the fear of money.
The fear of money?
Yes. I don't know. And then let's see what else. Since I'm
Does that
down,
mean
this
they want to be
rabbit hole,
poor? What?
let's see what else I can find. Optophobia, which is the fear of opening one's eyes.
Okay.
James
Hey,
Hartfield
have
wants
you
his
lit-
song back, damn it.
Globophobia, which is the fear of balloons.
Do you think Drake May suffered from that phobia before you said the next morning when he woke up? Maybe he's opening.
Yes.
It was a dream. It was a dream.
It was all a
let's play
dream.
Super Bowl today.
The dream, and
let-
today is the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's like I'm ready now.
Some of these are so ridiculous. Lenophobia is the fear of string.
I mean, the only phobia I have might actually be like the dumbest one you'll probably ever hear of all time, maybe.
What?
Pyrotechnophobia.
That's a thing?
Pyrotechnophobia?
Oh, you mean like the thing they do at concerts and stuff?
Fear of fireworks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, fireworks. But I was thinking the
Sporting
other stuff.
events.
And
Yeah.
this one, which you always clown me for because of me shaving. Pogonophobia, which is the fear of beards. How did we get down this rabbit hole?
I don't think it's really like I don't know. It's whenever I think I'm used to seeing you with the beard, and it's always weird whenever you do shave.
Here's a good one. This was probably most of COVID or people in 2020. Ergophobia, which is the fear
Ergophobia?
ergo, ERGO, ergophobia, the fear of working.
The fear of working.
Fair, I guess.
I don't know. Is there any other weird ones on here? Oh, phobophobia, which is the fear of phobias.
The fear of phobias?
Yes.
I mean, I think we're missing the greatest one of all time, claustrophobia.
Well, that's just being in tight spaces.
Fear of
Fear
being
of
in
tight
tight
spaces. My mom
There's
has that,
also
actually.
agoraphobia is like the fear of going outside, right?
Yes.
The fear of
Yeah.
public spaces.
It's the fear of public spaces. That's
Yeah.
right.
Nick, is there a fear for public speaking?
I'm sure there is. I can
There
look that
has
up.
to be.
Let's see
We're
if
going
we
to get back
can.
to our sports talk topics here in about 30 seconds.
Let's see if I can find it.
It's funny, Callan, how you're your dog and I got my dog and I'm keeping him out of the way and just trying to keep yours.
So it's called glossophobia.
That's
Is
what
the
I
fear
thought.
of public speaking. Everything can you could put phobia behind any word, and that
I
would just
agree.
be the fear of whatever it is.
H2O phobia, fear of water.
You know what? Now I want to know what fear of water is.
God damn it.
Oh, that's easy. Aquaphobia.
Aquaphobia.
That would
That
make
makes
sense at least. All right, let's get off this
All right,
topic.
man. Let's get back to the task at hand here. We're going to empty the beverage here, fellas. On the Mayday mystery, reports have in fact surfaced for both what Nick, per what Nick and also what other sources have said, that Drake May received a pain-killing injection, probably cortisone, in his throwing shoulder hours before kickoff. He finished the game with being sacked 6 times and having 3 turnovers. So, John, did Mike Vrabel and the Pats staff commit a bar brawl moment by playing a compromised quarterback, or is Drake May's toughness the only thing that New England fans can be proud of from the game on Sunday?
Well, this is where it gets interesting because the game is over. Now people are going to start saying, "Oh, well, he was ready, or he got cortisone."
Let
You know,
the
what I mean?
excuses begin.
Yeah, let the excuses. Absolutely not. He's a good quarterback. He just couldn't get it going, like straight up. But there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be saying that. I am off all week, so I got to avoid everything. But this is where we love to speculate. We love to say, well, if he didn't hurt his shoulder or if he didn't get cortisone, you know what I mean? We all know about Tyrod Taylor and
Yes.
Justin Herbert.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So, no, I do not feel that had any part of it. I feel that he just was simply not ready for this game. He was not ready for that defense.
Yeah, Dino, I'm glad that John said his piece, though, that, usually, though, and this is, I think, commonplace, though, fellas, with any sport, and I see it more often in hockey, with my 10 years in the, working in minor league hockey and, 18 in total across the sport with junior hockey and minor league hockey, and obviously being a, NHL fan as well, that whenever the season ends, though, you get the very lengthy injury report about, how many guys, got hurt, what the injury was. And, Dino, Dino, I do recall hearing, though, that Melissa Stark did point out that Drake may have been on the injury report the entire week leading up to the game between the illness and then, of course, the shoulder bothering him. So, Dino, to revisit the question in hand, though, my man, once more, did Mike Vrabel and the Pats staff commit a bar brawl foul by playing a compromised quarterback, or was Drake May's toughness the only thing that Pats fans can be proud of from the loss on Sunday? Your thoughts?
I mean, people show up on the injury report all the time. That, and usually, like when it's a serious injury that might actually prevent them from playing, and when it's just sort of a precaution. I don't think there was any chance Drake May was missing the Super Bowl. He's the one that got them there, and unless he actually like tore something or broke something, there was no way he was gonna not play in this game. They were gonna ride with him. So he showed up on the injury report because he probably did have something bothering him. But even if he was 100% healthy, I still don't think they really would have won this game because they just were not ready for the defense. Their offensive line wasn't ready, their receivers were not ready, and Drake May was not ready either. So it wasn't just the injury; it was just the play overall.
Yeah, Nick, I think Ben Cruz would agree if he was on the lounge tonight or in the lounge tonight with us. Don't start making excuses about the fact that, he got the cortisone shot or he'd been on the injury report all week. It looked like, sadly, it was a Patriots ball club, Nick, who met their matches, you've been saying all night and even last night after the game ended. But they finally met a team worthy enough that was going to stand up to them. And, I saw all the phony baloney reels and memes about, to revisit, Nick, one that we've been talking about a lot, though, the reel I've been seeing that made the rounds before the Super Bowl or when they got to the Super Bowl was, again, from that SpongeBob episode where they ride the fiery fist o' pain when they have the little baby in between them and they ride the mitten, the little one that goes, around and has like the little hump in the road. And all it said was, easiest SOS in a Mickey Mouse playoff run because you beat playoff Justin Herbert, 4-pick CJ Stroud, and then you beat Jared Stidham of the Broncos, to get to where, you wanted to go, obviously, and stuff of that nature. But I think, though, Nick, I said this on the Olympic show on Sunday, and I don't have to repeat it tonight because we're not going to talk about this again because we already talked about it, is I said very much vocally on Friday, I wanted to see Lindsey Vonn compete on Sunday. And obviously we saw what happened with it, though, where you play through the pain. Even in that 22 or 41, you play through the pain and you gut it out. So, Nick, your thoughts about where you stand, though, about the whole, excuse now of Drake May and what maybe is coming out of the game now about roughly 24 hours post-mortem.
I think Patriot fans are overreacting to everything. I think because Patriot fans were so used to Tom Brady all these years and the consistency, the 20 years of just consistently making the playoffs, except for the 1 year that he got hurt earlier in the season. Matt Castle had to finish out the rest of the season.
And they even changed the rule because of the Brady injury, too, if memory serves me correct, I think.
Everything was changed because of Tom Brady, because it was a Tom Brady league. Like the roughing the passer was changed because of Tom Brady getting hit and him bitching to the officials all the time. That's why the rule was changed for roughing the passer. And that's why if you sneeze on a quarterback, they're going to call roughing the passer because he would go over and say, "You son of a bitch, why did you throw the flag?" And then they threw the flag anyway, which they weren't supposed to. But
touch.
Drake May was the worst quarterback tonight. And
I love when they do that. Like when they get hurt or not, they go.
Yeah, like they point to the officiating like they're going to throw a flag after the fact.
Well, Mahomes does that now too.
And you know what?
He does that all the time. He baits them into throwing a flag.
He's the poster boy for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, but Mahomes is pulling a Brady. Brady did that way before Mahomes.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree. Brady was first, but Mahomes does it all the time now,
LeBron James.
He does the classic
LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though? If they're going to throw a flag, they're going to throw a flag. I don't think that necessarily comes from who's sitting in the pocket. It might help that you have a Brady or a Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or not Joe Burrow because the Bengals don't win shit. But I don't know. The Patriots were the worst team. I'm making it as clear as it possibly was. Seattle was better. They were more prepared. Sam Darnold came out with a great game plan. He was ahead of every pressure that New England sent. Whether they were sending 5, whether they were 0 blitzing, he was about a second and a half ahead of each time that they sent blitzes. So this is nothing on Drake May. Drake May came in with a shoulder injury. Like I said, he was not 100%. He wasn't. And that's the plain and simple of it. But any New England fan that's out there saying, "Oh, well, he sucks and we got to replace him," take a hike. Like, you're not a real football fan if you're asking for Drake May to be replaced. You went from a 4-win team to being 14-3 next year. And by the way, both teams going into the Super Bowl 14-3. Just to point that out as well. So people need to take a hike and take a chill pill and just say, look, Drake May's going to be here for the long haul. He is a good quarterback. He just needs more time.
More time and maybe tighten up some screws on an offensive line. Yes, no?
Yeah, they definitely need help on the offensive line because Seattle kept penetrating their offensive line. And that's why he was getting sacked so much. They need another wide receiver in the worst way. They don't like Matt Collins is a 1, but they don't have anybody else after that really to catch footballs. Like, I think, and it never would have happened, but Jalen Waddle would have been a perfect fit in New England. But obviously, you're not going to trade in division. I mean, there's so many options you could put there. I think a Deebo Samuel in the offseason would be a great fit there because he can run the ball and he can catch. They need help from a receiver standpoint.
They definitely do. And I think that, that this season will help them, I think, maybe with like free agency recruiting in some way, or just help them in general. Like, hey, 4-win team goes to the Super Bowl after a down year. Vrabel's coach of the year. You've got a promising quarterback. Maybe I want to go here and, try and, establish the new version of the Patriot way, as we've been hearing, though, for a long time up in Foxborough, Mass. But again, folks, a Super Bowl recap show tonight here again on the lounge once more. Seattle winning on Sunday by a 29-13 final score, their second championship in franchise history up in the Pac Northwest. All right, guys, we'll move now to the bench money segment here, all about Kenneth Walker III, your Super Bowl MVP, 135 rushing yards and 161 total yards in the last year of his rookie contract. Dino, does Kenneth Walker III's performance make him the first $100 million running back in the modern era, or do the Seahawks let him walk and bet on the system? What do you think for the reigning MVP of the Super Bowl?
There's no doubt he rose to the occasion. I mean, he was in more of a committee the whole year with Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet actually was handling most of the goal line work. He scored more touchdowns during the year. So, I mean, I think Ken Walker was still considered their primary running back, but again, he was sharing a lot of the workload until he had to really step up and carry the full workload. The last 2 games, really, against the Rams and now against the Patriots, they really just went with him the whole time. He was playing. I mean, Halani came in for maybe a few snaps, but he really had to carry the workload. He got 27 carries. So he really stepped up. He showed he can be, a true number 1. So, whether Seattle wants to keep him and trust him to be their true number 1, if they don't want to, I'm sure there's plenty of teams that would like to have him on there.
John, your overall thoughts here about how Kenneth Walker became MVP. Obviously, we could go back and forth. Jason Myers, San Diego zone from Chula Vista, California, with all the field goals, though. But obviously, I sadly feel like I think we may touch base on this a bit later on, an hour or two before you get out of here for the night, though, coming up between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific time, is you probably want the defensive stud or the offensive, player to win the MVP. And again, for a game that was, again, marred by field goals, it was refreshing to see some offense. I think they'll finally come to the limelight, though. But again, though, John, to reiterate the question one more time, does Kenneth Walker III's performance make him perhaps the first $100 million running back in the modern era, or do the Seahawks let him walk and bet on the system? What do you think?
I don't know about the $100 million mark. I feel like if they were smart, they would try to work something out, but football is not smart, as we all know. We like to make great decisions. I feel like they should try to make it work. He's proven himself, you know what I mean? Now, who knows if this is going to be the same kind of Walker that we see next year? But for this year, like, he has proven his value. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to give him to the Jets, that I'm not saying that, but if you want to maybe, what do I know? Dude's good. He's proven himself, so at least he knows that he has options, I would say.
Yeah, Nick, it's always interesting, and this is the thing with any sport. Usually in a walk year for a free agent, they normally put up a massive year. I recall seeing a lot, like in baseball, for example, guys in a contract year who probably won't come back to the organization and might go elsewhere. As John said, though, you hope it can carry over the next season with how he performed, though. But a lot of guys bank on that final year, though, to have a great year, and hopefully that, puts up their stock maybe on the free agent market. But I think, though, Nick, because of his performance, though, do you think he probably gets the $100 million bag, or do the Seahawks to let him walk and bet on the system, in your opinion? What do you think?
So the running back position is a tough one because it's one of the more grueling positions you have to worry about on the field. If you're lucky, you get 3 or 4 good years out of a running back before they get completely injured or taken out. That's why the Giants didn't hold on to Saquon Barkley, and he went to Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia took the risk, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl out of it. But at the same time, he's been hurt ever since that year. He had a record-breaking year, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy really since, and he's just not the same guy anymore. Now, Kenneth Walker is 25 years old. So I would say you probably have, I don't know, maybe another 3 years if you're lucky out of him, 3 good years left. So would a 3-year deal be out of the question? No, it wouldn't be out of the question. He's great. But like Dino said, Charbonnet was splitting reps with Kenneth Walker, and that was taking some of the wear and tear off of Walker. And then Walker had to take it on for the last 2 games and carry the reps. Now, in the long run, did that work out? Yeah, it did, because I think he's a more distance back than what Charbonnet is. So I think you give him a deal, but you're going to need someone. Now you have to have 2 running backs now when you play, because you can't rely on one guy. You almost need a 2-tier system for running backs, because those guys get hurt easily. And there's no way to, I don't know, prepare for that, reflecting the risk that the running back position has.
Nick, let me double up with you here real quick, and I'll double up with everybody here and pour one more shot out here for you guys. Kenneth Walker became the first running back to win the MVP since Terrell Davis did so 28 years ago. So, Nick, you're playing armchair GM right now for the New York Football Jets, who call New Jersey home, not New York, for some stupid reason. But you've got a running back on the market, though. Super Bowl championship and game MVP now on the resume. Do you go towards $100 million after one season of what he just did, or do you probably negotiate to get somewhere where you find common ground to bring him in, for example, if you're GM for a day?
Okay, you're missing an issue, though, which is no one is going to sign with the Jets whatsoever.
Just hypothetically, what do you think?
Is he worth it, is what you're essentially asking me?
Yes. It could be a team from NFL Europa. I don't care.
He's a great running back, but again, you don't know if he's going to get hurt. And again, he had a great year this year. He can have a really shitty year next year, and then the questions are going to be, whoa, well, why did you sign him to a 3-year deal for all this money for $100 million or whatever he's going to be commanding? And by the way, he's not leaving Seattle. That team is on the way up right now. They could repeat next year. They're that good. So would I love to have Kenneth Walker as my starting running back? Yeah, but I know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, sadly. John, what do you think, though, if you're a GM of any organization? Obviously, I think Nick's right, though. This team, with any title team, you run it back maybe for one more year, though. But would you probably take a flyer on a guy who just came off winning a title in a Super Bowl MVP?
I don't know if I would go that route, because, like you're saying, running backs longevity is not the best. I think he has value where he could, he'll definitely get a 3-year deal, but I'm not seeing those numbers in terms of $100 million. Running backs don't get paid as much lately. They have changed the whole system. Running backs don't get paid like they should be, and they just like Nick said, you could easily get amped up week 1, which we've seen it happen. done
yeah.
the whole
Preseason,
season.
maybe.
Yeah, so it's still a huge risk. Yeah, he had a great year. Like, no disputing that. But year's over. Show me what you can do. Everybody wants to know. Move on. Yeah. Last week, that's great. What about next week?
Yeah, Dino, it probably feels like prove it to me again next year that you're worth that money, as John was kind of alluding to, and as Nick alluded to, though. But Dino, if you're maybe a GM, do you take a flyer? Maybe not the $100 million range, though, but at least try to, take a flyer somehow on a Kenneth Walker baking off of this past season? Or is it more of a prove it to me that you can do it again in 2027?
I mean, yeah, both Nick and John bring up the point that right now, like, the consensus in the NFL is that they don't really want to take like that much of a risk on. They don't want to make running back one of the higher paid positions because they don't really have the longevity that some of the other positions might have, and that's just because of the wear and tear that they go through. Actually, Nick did bring, like, I brought up how he was in sort of a committee with Zach Charbonnet, and that actually might have worked to their advantage in the fact that he was fresher for these last two games, and that's why he was able to, break out and do so well. So I think no matter who ends up signing him, it probably won't get to 100 million because it's despite him winning Super Bowl MVP on the biggest stage, but the consensus is just that running back is not worth as much as some other positions, like obviously quarterback, but also like defensive end seems to be very highly valued right now, or even wide receiver. So I think ultimately whoever signs him, whether it's Seattle, most likely he's going to stay with Seattle, I would say. But I think no matter what, he's going to be in a committee again.
I think so. Nick, you know that you're a radio guy. When you see 7:57 p.m. and you're approaching the top of the hour for a 3-minute, somewhat commercial break, Nick, I'd like to give you the floor before we get to the top of the hour to kind of thank the ETB host family and the viewers for a tremendous weekend of Super Bowl coverage between the the late night Olympics show that we've been doing, as we'll do again later this evening to recap the most recent day for Milan Cortina, but also the week long that it took for us to get all these programs lined up and all the stuff that we went through between you and me and the rest of the group, though, to get Friday done, Saturday done, yesterday done, and now to begin to unpack and basically postmortem for the NFL season. Nick, maybe some thoughts you'd like to pass along for the weekend that we had, though, here for Super Bowl content and also with the Olympics as well.
Yeah, so we had an incredible weekend. We worked really hard on Super Bowl coverage. We did a lot. It started Friday. We had our football forecast show. We worked really hard. We were on for 2 hours, and we really put on a great Super Bowl show. As the NFL season comes to a close, college football, all football comes to a close finally this past Sunday night. All the shows did great. We had a lot of people in and out, really working hard on that coverage. We did one show Friday, then we were busy all day Saturday and all day Sunday. And we'll try to expand that coverage next year to include more people in it. But it was a lot of work. It was worth it. And everyone did a good job. We had really big numbers on all the shows, and including tonight, by the way, which 427 people are watching live currently.
Thank you very much, everybody. We love you. We appreciate you.
Right now. And by the way, we will talk about, if you're asking why is that the title of tonight's show, we are going to talk about that at some point. Don't worry. We will get to that. But you know what? The Super Bowl is not really a sporting event anymore, and that's weird coming from a sports fan. It's more of a pop culture event, as now it's become. Even though I hate that. I hate all the circumstance of pop culture that goes on around it. But that's what the event is becoming. That's how we kind of got to treat it. And that's why we had all different types of coverage and everything we were able to do and expand out to get as many people to watch as we possibly could. So just thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody who checked in on our YouTube channel or across our social media feeds on on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. So good job.
Yeah, very great weekend. And again, we will resume with our program, but also coming up at about 10:30, 11 o'clock Pacific time, we will have another debrief of the Olympics again for a action-packed Monday over in Milan Cortina from the West Coast. All right, guys, we're going to go to our back of the napkin segment here and talk about Sam Darnold a little bit further in depth. Of course, Sam Darnold, longtime former Jets and Vikings quarterback, winds up in Seattle and finishes the playoff and finishes off the postseason, 5 touchdowns and no turnovers. So with that in mind, though, Mr. Morganson, the ghost of Darnold are finally gone. Does Sam's ring, though, with the Seahawks mean more for his career legacy than it would for a guy maybe like, say, Josh Allen or Joe Burrow?
That's a tough question. I think it's a great victory. It's I don't know if there's really any moral victories in professional sports, but I would say, and it's weird because some people are saying that, oh, the Jets have egg on their face because Sam Darnold won. I would say the Vikings have more egg on their face than the Jets do because he won 14 games. And by the way, he holds a record that only Tom Brady, by the way, ironically enough, is the only one who holds the record of having back-to-back 14-win regular seasons. So the Vikings are the one that have more egg on their face than the Jets do currently because no one knew what Sam Darnold was going to be after he was cut by the Jets at that point in time. So I would say this is a great victory, and we're finally seeing true potential of Sam Darnold, and maybe he wins another one. Hopefully down the road, he's got a long-term deal with Seattle. He's not going anywhere. So I would just say it's a really good victory. I wouldn't say it's a career-defining victory, but I would say it's definitely a great game played by him.
Yeah, John, as much as maybe people could clown the Jets, I think and you guys may know better than me because, again, 9 years of being divorced from the league. Why do I feel like, though, in a way that Sam Darnold was set up for failure with the Jets? Am I right or am I wrong?
I feel like the issues that we have with quarterbacks is that we don't get quarterbacks who are able to acclimate to the weather, to winter. We always get California quarterbacks. We're not getting quarterbacks the right fit. I remember when we first had Darnold and we were playing the Lions. Remember his first, I think he had like a pick six, like right away. And me and my brother are like, oh, here we go. And then what happened? We ended up beating the Lions 48-17. So we're like, you know what? Maybe we got something going on. And then we played Cleveland, and Tyrod Taylor got hurt. And here comes Rick Vaughn, like in fucking Major League, just come right out of the fucking gate. I'm like, here we go. I think that they're just not – they haven't read the book, Dummies for Quarterbacks for New York Jets. Like, they haven't quite mastered that just yet.
Oh, I've not heard insert subject here for dummies in quite a long time.
Yeah, well, that's the New York Jets franchise for you.
Can I get one in like audiobook form now, or like can I virtually read it now on like my iPad or my phone? But I guess though, Dino, I think though that Nick's also right that it's kind of tough. I think I think we all agree the legacy argument is such a thing thrown around like manhole covers like every other day of the week that ends in letter Y and twice on Sunday and whatnot. I mean, look, okay, Josh Allen has never gotten to a Super Bowl. Burrow got there and kind of choked it at the very end to the Rams and Matt Stafford, at SoFi. So I don't know if I really could measure that because of where it's at. I think, though, mainly, though, Dino, what does the victory, though, mean for Sam Darnold's career, maybe more than just, this whole legacy bullshit take?
Yeah. No, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, obviously, you mentioned earlier, Callan, how it's tough to always blame one person in a team game, but you also shouldn't give so much credit to one person in a team game either. Sam Darnold won because of the team. What he did differently than I would say most of his other years in his career is he didn't make mistakes. He didn't throw at least not in the postseason. In the postseason, he didn't throw I mean, I believe I'm not sure if he threw any interceptions in the postseason.
No, he went
So
5 TDs, no picks or
Right.
turnovers.
Yes. So he, he had a very mistake-free postseason, and that's really the difference between this year and, for example, last season with Minnesota. Yes, a 14-win regular season, but a horrible playoff performance, which eliminated them in the first round. So he was able to, as you said, he was able to be the ghost buster that
Who are you going to call?
that was able to really, I guess, change the perspective on him as a quarterback. People will not. I don't think anybody's going to be making fun of him for seeing ghosts anymore now that he has a Super Bowl championship under his belt.
Yeah, Nick, he basically got the monkey off his back with the victory on Sunday. And I think, Nick, to further expand, though, I do think the Minnesota Vikings look like a bunch of idiots for how that they let this man, like, basically walk out the door after, one of the single greatest seasons that they probably have had in recent memory, not naming Minneapolis Miracles or Gary Anderson botching the field goal in 98 against the Falcons in the NFC title game. So I think, Nick, more importantly, how do you think Minnesota Viking fans woke up today, probably, or even as the game ended yesterday, about what did we let go after the game on Sunday?
I think they're more panicked about J.J. McCarthy than they are worrying about if Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. I mean, don't get me wrong. Fans probably overreacted and said that could have been our Super Bowl, Minnesota. By the way, Minnesota is nowhere in the same area code as Seattle when it comes to their team and when it comes to being a complete team. And if I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm demanding a trade out of Minnesota and getting out of there as fast as I possibly could. You know what? Dark horse, I would say maybe if New England could work out a trade there for a wide receiver for Justin Jefferson and somehow get him to New England, I think that would be an answer. Can you imagine having Justin Jefferson on one side and Mac Hollins on the other? I mean, that would almost be unfair. But
they'd probably make them the Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. But Minnesota is going to overreact because they're going to say, oh, if we had that 14 wins, we would have made it to the Super Bowl. First of all, at the time, we thought the Lions were going to be a much better team than they were. The Lions imploded completely this season.
They took a major step back.
Yeah, not just a major step back. They exploded like in a horrible way when everyone said they were going to be a division winner. And then obviously Chicago, which is finally improving and playing better in that division. So Minnesota's got issues. And then they fired their GM because of how bad a season they had. J.J. McCarthy is not meant for the NFL. His game is not great for the NFL. I don't think he's going to be there in the after a year or two, because I don't think he can stay healthy at all to warrant being a starting quarterback in this league. They're going to have to go out and get a name. See, they should have gotten Aaron Rodgers when they had the chance. They probably would have been a much more competitive team.
If that would have happened, he would have completed the Brett Favre circle of life. It would have been great. Now all he has to do is get sued for welfare fraud.
Yeah, but oh god, but now with McCarthy being in Pittsburgh, it sounds like he's going back to Pittsburgh for another season, which that would be interesting considering the breakup they had in Green Bay.
Right.
But I don't know. Minnesota fans, it's going to be a long road. I'm just going to say that much. And if I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm saying, get me out of here as fast as I can.
Oh, man. John, do you perhaps think that the Vikings maybe now have sellers or buyer's remorse now for putting all the eggs in the J.J. McCarthy Easter basket as opposed to Sam Darnold after the 14-win season last year now?
Absolutely. I do not think that they're feeling good right now. Look at the moves that they've made. You remember Case Keenum? He was finally finding his footing. Case Keenum was finally finding his footing. Gone. Cousins, gone. They put so much stock and value in J.J. McCarthy that they're like, this is going to be the guy. And what happens? Doesn't play for the whole fucking season. There's going to be a lot of shakeups. What you're saying, Nick, is right. If Justin Jefferson was smart, get me the fuck out. I have no doubt in my mind that the Jets will probably pick up JJ in some capacity because that's where the trend seems to be, getting losers. I think that they got to make a lot of decisions, but I think that they got to really work on Jefferson because he's definitely should not be on that team. Like, why would
that happened?
That
if that happened, by the way, if the Jets were somehow able to make that call and make that trade happen, they would get a quarterback in a heartbeat if Justin Jefferson was in a Jet uniform. But I don't see that happening.
No, JJ McCarthy. I'm saying.
Oh, JJ. Oh,
yeah, JJ, not Jefferson. It's JJ.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
No,
Well,
don't.
The other
Justin
JJ.
Jefferson goes by JJ as well.
Yeah,
No, I don't want to.
First name JJ, not initials of JJ. The first name JJ.
We already had Justin Fields. You want another science experiment at quarterback?
I think when we get Patrick Mahomes 10 years from now, we're going to be ready. Because we only get people past our prime. We only get
former Packer quarterbacks, so we're going to get Jordan Love in 10 years.
Wait, is that like
Le'Veon Bell was the biggest thing, if you remember. Le'Veon Bell was like, oh, we got Le'Veon Bell.
Or what about when we had Antonio Brown with his weird
What?
Fantastic. I was at that game.
Or when
when he did that whole thing, you were?
I was at that game. We were in the tunnel.
Oh, the game where he like came out on the field, ripped off his jersey and like banged his chest and then said, I retired.
We were being responsible. Jet fans, we're in the tunnel behind the Bucs, and everyone is like, fuck Tom Brady. You know, he's there. And we're like, you know what? This is going to be the last time that we play, and we're about to leave. I'm like, we're going to win. And my buddy Joe's like, it's not going to happen. And we're at the end of the tunnel, and all we do is see them advance. Like we just see them advancing further. I have a picture that I'll show you guys later on of the Antonio Brown jersey on the ground right there. He went onto the field. They were going to fucking tackle him.
Yes.
They did not realize, if it was like a streaker or something like that. And then he started waving, like he was doing a goodbye. He went from the Tampa Bay Jet, bus to a fucking Uber that night.
Wow.
Do you remember he was in an Uber live talking about what happened?
The Uber driver became famous, if I remember correctly, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Clown show.
Yeah. That Uber driver became famous. And didn't he become like a personal driver for Antonio Brown?
I'm sure he did. Yeah, and it's so disappointing. Not to get off topic, but Antonio Brown, man, like
that guy's got issues. He's got issues.
Yeah. I remembered because I work in a lot of niche sports, around town, and I remember that he signed with the Albany indoor football team.
Well, he owned it.
He owned it and played for them because I worked in that league here in San Diego.
And he didn't have the money to pay them.
He didn't have the money to pay for it, and like they expelled him from the league. He got like a ban or whatever. I'm just like, this guy needs some help.
If you saw half the shit he was doing in public, wouldn't you question if he has some mental health issues going on?
Dare I say it, Morgeson?
What? Which one?
Could it be early set CTE in some way?
I don't remember if he's ever had a concussion or a hit like that.
I feel like he probably has had at least one, maybe two.
I mean, Johnny, you see the creepy videos of him in the pool?
Yeah.
Where he was inflating is the nicest word I could say there.
Did you see the picture that he tweeted years ago? He was in bed with one of his girlfriends.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
And clear as day, it was just out there.
Yes, he doesn't care. He does not care. He basically has, and he's always out there like using the N-word on people all the time. Like it's a little wild. Like,
by the way, speaking of the Jets having like retreads, did y'all get to enjoy my two guys, LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Cromartie, when they were in New Jersey?
Antonio.
Oh.
I mean, it's always when they're past their prime.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean, for a long time, the Padres were that way until like 2019, which was nice when they finally began to spend some money. Finally,
did you see? By the way, did you see this thing that Antonio Brown does on his social media? This CTE News or whatever or CTESPN or whatever he calls it.
No, never even heard of it.
I think John knows what I'm talking about. But
he's crazy.
He clowns ESPN because he doesn't like ESPN for whatever reason. So he took CTE and ESPN and combined them together and tried to turn it into like a news platform or something.
Goodness gracious.
And I was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
A dumbass.
Well, yes, we know that.
I can't help but feel Jay Gruden. I'm just saying, from what I've seen, when the Raiders, when he was on the Raiders and he was all excited about getting them, and when he burned his feet, he froze his feet or something like that, and then when he wanted to get out, and Jay Gruden was on the press conference saying, Antonio Brown, he, like, I feel like he wanted to say the N-word. Like, he was so pissed at what Antonio put him through on that Raiders. And the post conference, he was trying to keep a straight face, and you could see the anger. You could see the anger in his face after the whole Antonio Brown debacle.
Well, his whole thing, and I don't like saying this word, so I'm not going to say it, but he calls it C word of the day.
Yep.
If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Come on, dude.
But John, you've seen it. He does this like every single day. Like, and it's like the weirdest things like that
I'm a dumbass.
he picks on. Like, would he be great like somewhere doing digital media as a podcast? Yeah, because he says a lot of interesting things. Like, it's weird because the two guys that I used to find a pain in the ass in the NFL was Antonio Brown and Chad Ochocinco.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Chad Ochocinco has finally figured out how to do it correctly, even though he's kind of doing a podcast with one of the biggest, creepiest NFL guys out there, and Shannon Sharp. But, I mean, you have to laugh that him and Shannon Sharp are doing a show called Nightcap.
Yeah.
Isn't that what? It's a very successful show, Callan. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But
I really don't.
AB's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always one. I mean, come on, Nick. We talked about Ryan Leaf, for heaven's sakes, on PR last Wednesday about how he, basically said his piece about not voting for Brady or voting for Belichick or Brady because they lost to Nick Foles in a Super Bowl, for God's sakes.
Ugh. Well, but Ryan Leaf is in the media doing media now. So who's the asshole? He keeps coming out and saying, I don't like this, and Tom Brady shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and Bill Belichick shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. What are you talking about? Those guys should have been first ballot Hall of Famers.
I agree.
Unanimous. Should have been unanimous.
Yeah, all in favor say aye.
So, you know what, Cal, we got to talk about the Cardi B and the Stefon Diggs. We got to do it.
Let's get to it, please. I want to see this.
Yes. So, I don't know. So, obviously, you saw Cardi B and Stefon Diggs somehow broke up in the middle. They say it was after the game. Some reports are saying it was in the middle of the game.
It was probably during the halftime show because she was in the background of the Bad Bunny performance.
John, can you imagine if the two of them broke up in the middle of the game during the halftime show?
I mean, that'd be amazing.
I mean, come on. Someone got legally married at that halftime show yesterday.
Did they really?
It was a real wedding. So the wedding thing that you saw in the halftime show, that I thought that was a gimmick because sometimes you see a wedding in a
and per what Yahoo and ESPN did confirm, because Yahoo laid out what the symbolism of and we are going to talk about halftime after we show you this video, was that they had because I think a lot of people try to reach out to celebrities now for the simple fact of can you come to my wedding? One of my friends tried to do that with a hockey player. They said no, but they gave them their well wishes. But this couple that you saw legally married in Santa Clara invited Bad Bunny to their wedding. He said, no, how about this? You fly out here or we fly you out to the game.
With the wedding party.
Your wedding party comes to the game and you can get married at the game, and Benito Ocasio can be your officiant or official.
I don't know how they pulled this off, but I was watching and I'm like, they literally timed it into like all the dancing and everything and the proposal and it was like they had everything. It was incredible. But I don't know. That's a weird place to have a wedding inside of a halftime show.
I mean, I hate to say before we get to this though, I do think maybe not proposing, but I think it is a little bit weird though when you get married at your favorite team's venue.
Well, what about that you're basically having your marriage in front of hundreds of millions of people, too?
I had mine at a church, just saying.
Anyway, let's see more about this with Cardi B and
Well,
Stefon Diggs.
I don't have a video, but I don't know, John. I'll let you take, since you're the Cardi B officiant here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just need 1 second. I am not perfect by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm bald. You know, this is who I am. Now I understand what's happening, but I don't make 60 million. Stefon Diggs makes 60 million. I make considerably less. You make 100 million. I am okay with making less money than you. I'm not perfect. I'm a truck driver. I mean, I don't have 6 kids that we got to worry about. If you could just maybe just find it in your heart, just to give me a shot. My wife even said that I am allowed this. She wouldn't need to watch me shooting my shot. But if there's any hope, Cardi B, you know what I mean? If there's anything truly going on you feel, I'm not going to unfollow you. I'm not weak. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to unfollow you because we're not together anymore. If you just want to see what it's like, the real, you know what I mean? I'll take you to Burger King. I know you love that. You know what I mean? We'll just have a good time. You could talk about you getting a pussy wedgie. You know what I mean? We can go on the old TikTok. You know what I mean? I'll pick up your dumb shoes that are like 8 feet tall. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to kind of shoot my shot. John Ladder is here. So if there's any hope, if there's any mention, I feel like there's something there that we're like connecting in some shape. So I just wanted to put myself out there for you. And that's it. I get emotional at times like this. I just wanted to let her know that I'm a fan. And if she wants to come to Jersey, I would have no issues with that. That's it. And I just had to put my heart out there. And I want to thank you.
Wait a minute. So how long have you had this affection for Cardi B?
Oh my God, I love her. Ever since I saw her tweet about having a pussy wedgie, and about like she said it for real. She's like, y'all, you get a pussy wedgie? It happens. And like she's real. And she's talking about how she was going to the bathroom and she goes, listen, when y'all see me taking a shit, do not ask me to sign anything because I'm taking a shit. Just real, like real straight in your face, no lying. You know, she might leave the bathroom open. She might leave the bathroom door open. She might be one of those. You can just tell she's real. There's just something different about it. Yes, she robbed people as she was dancing with them. She's not perfect. You know what I mean?
Who is perfect?
I was going to say nobody's perfect, but yes.
Nobody is perfect. But they unfollowed each other. And that is a legit thing because now people are going to be studying that to see if they're going to follow each other again. What's going to happen? They have, right now between them, they have 10 kids. He has 6 and she has 4.
Jesus.
That's a lot of kids. I don't
Philip
have any.
Rivers
I have
has
a
10
dog.
as a grandchild.
Right? That's insane.
I want to look up her dating history now because I need to know this, what Cardi B's dating history was. Well, Offset, obviously. Was there anybody before that?
And Philip Rivers, you're right. He's got how many? 10 kids or 7 or something?
10.
I think he's got 10 kids and a grandchild, I think. So I think he's got 11. He's got enough for a soccer team.
He should have said, yeah.
Go ask Antonio Cromartie about that, too. He's got 10.
Oh, yeah.
I think he might have more than 10, sadly, too.
Well, do you remember Antonio Cromartie who got the vasectomy and he still somehow got a woman pregnant?
Yep.
Was that after his time with the Chargers?
I think that was when he was with the Jets.
Now, this is going to change things a lot because Stefon Diggs is statistically a loser. Like, however, like that's going to get into his head. So
yes.
he's going to feel inadequate easily.
So Philip Rivers has 10 kids.
Plus
10
a grandchild. So he's got 11. So he's got 10 plus 1.
By the way, you know why he came back for 1 year? He gets 5 more years of NFL insurance now for doing that.
But he was going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I'll screw
That's
the Hall of
crazy.
Fame.
The last San Diego Charger I care about would have been in the Hall of Fame, but now I got to wait 5 more years.
But that's interesting. Like, you really would pull out the red carpet to really have Cardi B.
I would. If I was in high school, I would ask her to my prom.
You know, she probably would say yes because a lot of celebrities do that. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's great publicity.
You know what I'm going to do? because I was texting Callan, but while you were doing that,
Yeah.
we're gonna put this clip out. I'm
That'd be
gonna put it
amazing.
out on the different platforms. I want to see.
Yes.
I'm gonna tag her in the social media clips. Watch that, like, just completely break out, and then you're gonna see what is that weird? What is her like saying, or what does she say when she? sees people?
Okay.
I just
Oh,
want
yeah.
that. I just want her to quote tweet it and just say that. And just
It'd be
be like,
amazing.
so
By the way, before we get back to talk about the halftime show because it's part of the show, did she ever get that trademark for that saying, or did
What?
it get declined?
what?
She wanted to trademark okay, or like she says okay.
You can't trademark that. It's a word.
Yeah.
Well, she says it with like a Bronx accent, right?
A little Bronx action.
Let's see. Cardi B's attempt to trademark her signature phrase was denied
That's
by
what I
the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. They deemed the phrase a common, widely used slang term rather
It
than a district brand identifier.
That's okay, baby girl. We'll try again next time. Don't you worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It sounds like Tony Kornheiser. We'll try and do better the next time on PTI.
By the way, you're going to have to drive everywhere because she's not allowed to have a license anymore either.
I am a truck driver. No problem. I have no problem with that.
By the way, I heard she's like one of the worst drivers of all time. I think she's had many tickets. She's what? I would just be worried that she'd start stealing from people because that's what she had the reputation of
Yes, big time.
as a stripper. That's how she's known, by the way. Oh, she's a rap. No, that's not how she was known.
And she was also on TV for a bit, like reality television.
She was?
Was she?
Maybe.
I'm looking that up right now.
She seems like somebody that will buy like a $2 million Bugatti on a Tuesday and then crash it on a Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like not really knowing how to drive it, but just because I can afford it.
Oh, here it is. She was on Love and Hip Hop.
That's
York.
what it was.
Oh,
That's not surprising. And then apparently she was on a Netflix competition show. I don't know. She's an odd character to say the least. I will say that, but somehow she turned it into a rap career, and then she's not afraid to go after. Like if you've seen at her concerts, people will throw shit at her, and then
she'll stop the show because of it.
She'll stop the show and then throw the mic at somebody.
Yes, she will.
I think that's more of an assault than throwing a drink at somebody, like
or putting a Bills fan through a table.
See,
you got to do.
I wouldn't.
My baby knows how to protect herself.
I wouldn't do anything to her. She will like pick someone up and throw them through a table. I feel like she would.
Choke slam.
But I don't know. Well, what did we think of the halftime show? Because I didn't get it.
Well, let me get to that, Nick. So again, we had a dueling broadcast of halftime shows on cable TV and also courtesy of Turning Point USA, the Super Bowl 60 halftime show, of course, headlined by Bad Bunny, Puerto Rican resident and American citizen, Lady Gaga, and, of course, legendary Latin artist Ricky Martin, while the conservative group of Turning Point USA counter-broadcast with Kid Rock and other American-based country artistes. Nick, did the NFL's Latin trap spectacle successfully capture the global market of the sport, or did the fractured viewership prove that the Super Bowl halftime is no longer the monoculture event it once was at one point in time?
First of all, the Turning Point USA halftime show, did anyone think that was really going to succeed going up against the Super Bowl halftime show?
5 million viewers.
Yeah, compared to what? 115 million?
I think 115 million per CBS Sports.
Now, I still don't think they handled it correctly, the Super Bowl halftime show. Because if they would have at least translated what I was watching, it would have made it easier for me to understand. I know what they were doing. I know the whole cultural experience. I got it. But I don't, John, I think you said it before we went on. Like, how many words did he say in English the whole time? Like 2-3 words?
Yeah. Like, it was like, okay, so I went in with an open mind because I'm a football fan. We're all football fans, and you know what a halftime show is. I think that he delivered in terms of theatrics and whatnot. Like, this is what we look forward to. This is what we saw. Like that again, the extravagance, you know, the massive display that they put on. I think he did his job in that aspect. But I'm watching it. I mean, like, I don't know what he's saying.
Exactly.
I don't know what he's saying. And at the very end of it, this monstrous performance, Ricky Martin, Lady Gaga. And then when he's coming out of the tunnel, they're talking to him and they go, like, Brad, how was it? How was it? And he goes, it was good. It was a lot of fun. Like, why not integrate some of that? That's where I think a lot of people lost. So I understand, from the beginning when it was announced that he was performing, there was a whole thing about LGBT, he's going to wear a dress and ice and blah, blah, blah. I want to watch a halftime show. Like, if it's going to be a solid show, I wanted to watch it. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a tough watch.
It was a tough watch.
Because, again, I'm open-minded, like everybody, giving everybody a chance to lead a halftime show. We've seen all different types of people lead halftime shows.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything to capture the audience here in this country, which I felt
which was the whole point of, as I said on the post-game show, where are the two areas, gentlemen, that the NFL has struggled to captivate the audience? Females and the Latin American populations. That's why, as I said on Sunday, that they weren't going to cave, sadly, Nick, to the public pressure of putting subtitles, because that would be caving to the pressure about, why'd you bring this guy in? He's not an American. But
wait a minute.
That's not what they were going to do.
But wait a minute. I don't think that's caving, though. I think that's making it so everybody, the most amount of audiences, could take in the product and be able to understand
to say it, Nick, but we know our good buddy Clay Travis would have had a field day by basically saying, ha, ha, ha. They had to put subtitles on for the American football fan to actually comprehend what's going on here.
I think he clowned the halftime show as it was, if I'm not mistaken.
What the hell was he wearing? He was wearing like a white sweater, but there was a jersey on it. Did you notice that?
I think it had like maybe the year that Puerto Rico became an American territory, I want to say, is my best guess.
And why hand a Grammy to a kid? I understand who the kid was because they said the situation. But why hand a Grammy to him during the show? I don't understand that part. That didn't connect to me.
I think that actually got debunked as misinformation, that it wasn't the kid from the Minnesota incident that happened. It was a kid portraying him as a younger version of himself to basically not, follow your dreams, keep going, and don't stop.
So I actually just found a thread from Clay Travis who talked about the show. So he said, if the NFL announced the primary Super Bowl broadcast would be in Spanish instead of English to honor all the Spanish viewers and their culture, would it also be racist to complain that most people couldn't understand the broadcast and that was a bad idea as a result? That's interesting.
It is an interesting perspective, but what you're saying, Callan, you're right. Like, they were not going to cave. Like they
weren't going to cave, and I was totally fine with it. Now, again, as I said on Sunday, is it due to the fact though that I live in a state that is 40% Hispanic and Latin population here in California? Yes. Right. Where was the game held? Santa Clara, California, major hub for the Latin population. Is it because I go to soccer matches over American football games? Maybe, because I can get behind and know a bit of the language that he was speaking, a little bit here and there. But I thought, though, it encapsulated, though, what, the Latin and Spanish cultures, and bringing it to a global audience across, the globe. Again, the views, they sadly don't lie. It's 115 plus million who watched of the whole thing. It was like a bit of a nice little slice of like the Latin population, for those who don't quite understand their culture and their demographics and stuff. The whole thing of him being on the electric pole is actually a thing that they do in certain Mexican and Hispanic and Latin countries, where they actually have bird dancers that are on these poles at these giant shows. Maybe because I got to play international baseball too for about 2 weeks in Mexico and around the world, and you go to these places and you learn the culture. I also noticed, though, and I picked up on it, that there were tributes, though, to Don Omar, Daddy Yankee, Vicente Fernandez, three of the biggest, Latin stars of all time, plus Ricky Martin appearing, though, too. The Lady Gaga thing was a bit interesting, but it also sounded like, though, she was also maybe singing something in...
She was singing in Spanish when she started.
Spanish as well, which was, very interesting. Yes. I didn't see that coming, that's for sure.
But again, it has nothing to do with the show, because the NFL chooses the show that they want for the halftime show. It's that there was no translation for me to understand what was going on halftime show. And I'm sorry, but that's not an excuse to say that you're caving in by saying you're not going to put translations on a screen. That where is most of the audience taking place for the Super Bowl?
I have a question for you, Nick.
Okay.
You wanted the songs to be translated?
I wanted the whole halftime show translated because, again, like I'm sitting there confused because I don't understand what he's saying.
I don't think. See, like that's usually you don't translate like if it's a song, you're not gonna put subtitles. That's different. But like songs, I don't think you usually would translate a song, whether it's in Spanish or any other language.
But the entire performance.
Yeah, that's
from start to finish, aside from Lady Gaga's snippets.
And it really wasn't that long. Like she did most of her part in Spanish, if I remember correctly.
I think she only had like
me wrong.
I think she only had like a very brief cameo too. Anyway, go ahead, Dino. Sorry about that.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm not a fan of Bad Bunny. I'm not a fan of that type of music. You know, I prefer the pregame show with Green Day. That's actually my type.
Me
of music.
too.
Which, by the way, that was going to lead me though, because I think we all can agree here. Because I think Nick, we probably talked, I think, a little bit Sunday with Tom and Ben and you and myself and Christy, that I mainly tuned in for both halftime and pregame because of what we had talked about. I think off air from Friday. That Billy Joe Armstrong, as I had said, I will say it again, Green Day, Rage Against the Machine, my favorite band of all time, Muse, they are three of the biggest anti-government establishment bands out there who are not afraid to pull the punches. And as we had said, though, from Front Office Sports, though, on Friday, there was talk of that, Billy Joe Armstrong had said his piece about, ICE on Friday. That was at a private event for invite only for Spotify and FanDuel Sports. And I tuned in, though, and I was very much like you guys probably watching closely about what was going to happen, if anything happened. But as myself, Nick, and Tom are in agreement in the Slack channel, they probably got word beforehand. You guys can save that for a different time and place. But if you're going to be here at the game, save it for Friday or Saturday. But come Sunday, none of this. And Green Day did, in fact, do that. They skipped over the part of the lyrics, as I said on Sunday, that it would have gone to, inserting the abbreviation into part of the lyrics, though. I was more concerned, I think, about Bad Bunny more than anything else, though, when it came to his performance, though. And there was nothing there except for one loud God Bless America.
Well, you said that they caught a Spanish curse at the beginning, which, again,
in the
John,
opening
I would have
30
had no idea. I would have had no idea there was a curse word in Spanish at all. Like, so they were able to bleep that out. But how would you know the difference?
And they also bleeped out the F word too on Green Day's performance too with the opening lyrics of American Idiot.
Did anybody complain about the Spanish curse? Because every Super Bowl when something happens.
I may be the only man in America who picked up on it, honestly.
But here's the weird thing. I told Callan when he said it afterwards, I said, I wouldn't have been able to go heads or tails on that to figure out that it even happened at all during the show. By the way,
obviously NBC knew when it was coming to be able to record scratch it out.
Sure.
But the whole thing with Green Day, and this is like a lot of bands. Now you could throw Bruce Springsteen into this conversation too, because he's known for being very political at his shows.
In the USA.
And that's why I don't think you'll ever see him do a Super Bowl halftime show ever again, because he won't be able to hold his politics at all.
I feel like he played here at one point in San Diego. I got to look that up. I feel like he did.
I think he did a halftime show many years ago.
Maybe 98 he played here. I'm looking right now, but go on, Nick.
But he can't hold himself at all. Every show he goes to, he does the same thing that Green Day does, or like Callan said, Rage Against the Machine. They're another one that does it. But Green Day, I don't remember which song it was. They changed their lyrics to
American Idiot. They changed the lyrics of Redneck to MAGA Agenda.
Well, no, but then the other one where he changed it to the Epstein Files in one of the songs, he changes it to also. I don't know. First of all, people are going to say, oh, it's a private event. You're telling me someone doesn't have a phone out streaming that is catching that event? Like, why do it? I don't understand why these bands, why these people feel obligated to go out there and give their political views on something that's supposed to be entertainment. I will never understand that.
Because everybody gets a seat at my bar, whether we like it or not, but everyone is welcome.
No.
But I'm talking about going from Santa Clara to a private building in Phoenix for Turning Point USA.
Well, yeah. No, I get that. And by the way, there was another funny video that went out. There was an influencer sitting in Santa Clara watching the Super Bowl, and she had headphones plugged into a phone, and she was watching the Turning Point USA halftime show on her phone while the halftime show was going on there in the building.
By the way, so I think it looks like 2009 was the last time Springsteen played at halftime for the Super Bowl.
By the way, you want to know someone who really destroyed the Super Bowl? Chris Russo, Mad Dog. So
I wouldn't expect anything less.
So number one, he said he was bored by the Super Bowl. Actually, I have the audio if you want to hear it. I don't know. Is anyone interested in hearing Mad Dog and what he has to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me grab that here. So here's what Mr. Mad Dog Russo had to say.
You do not belong in the game. And that game was, again, unless you bet all sorts of props, read Chris Russo. I don't know how you stuck with it. And I am not talking about Bugs Bunny at the half either, as I could care less.
So, yes, he called the halftime show Bugs Bunny.
Now, sounds like a former host on this network in a separate group chat on Instagram who said the same thing.
But now I wouldn't go that far because that's kind of ridiculous and whatever. But like, you know what? It was going to be controversial whether you liked it or not.
And before we move on, as I always say, it doesn't matter who plays at the Super Bowl. You're going to have everybody divided on it. And it doesn't matter if it's now or if it was even 10 years ago.
And unfortunately, politics has now just become more of an issue than ever. So people are going to complain about people's politics that do the.
Yeah, well, even before the P word infiltrated the sports world, even long before that, it's become it's always going to be an issue.
Well, go ask Kid Rock, who's one of the worst when it comes to politics at his performances. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but when he was performing for Turning Point USA, they put a video up in the background of his Joe Rogan interview talking about Christianity. And that was the only song he did. He's supposed to be the headliner. He did one song.
Yeah, he played one song. Well, at the end of the day, I get last say here. Bad Bunny wins the night. The energy was top shelf and the guest spots were seamless. Whether you like the music or not, the production value made Kid Rock look like he was playing at a local dive bar with John Ladder and Nick DiMartino on Saturday night somewhere in New York. Call it for what it is. All right, guys, let's move on here real quick to get back to the sports talk here. To the bench confessionals, we have some more thoughts from the weekend that was across some bars in San Diego. Nick Morgeson, confession number one, you might agree. Jason Myers is the real MVP. He had 5 field goals, a new game record without his leg. This game is a 13-13 tie in the fourth quarter. Kickers are people tuned in on Sunday. Jason Myers was the best man on the field.
Yeah, agreed. I think he was the best man on the field. He did his job when needed to be, broke a Super Bowl record. Again, not taking anything away from Kenneth Walker, who had 165 yards, but he single-handedly won the game for them. It's not even a discussion. I get it. Kenneth Walker had an amazing game, but 5 field goals, being responsible for that scoring in this game, that's a take. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I agree with that bar take.
And I also think that from what I remember, through the highlights again, I think Tarico and Collinsworth were right, though. Myers knows how to kick at that stadium because that's a divisional rival. You go there once every year.
Well, yeah, that's a fair point.
So, yeah, John, your thoughts on confession number one from the bar. What do you got?
He did his job. He is a phenomenal kicker. I 100% agree with Nick. He was definitely the MVP in that game. I mean, not to take anything away from Kenneth Walker, but he was superb. He was absolutely superb.
He might be America's MVP, not the NFL's MVP, as voted on by the broadcasters. He's number one in our hearts, baby. Dino, your thoughts on Jason Myers' game, though?
I mean, Jason Myers had a great game. I really did not think he was going to win MVP because they were not going to give it to a kicker. Now, yes, he accounted for 15 out of Seattle's 29 points. But I will say this. Most of the time, the reason why he was able to kick those field goals is because of the field position that the defense was putting them in. So I would have honestly given the MVP to the defense as a whole, I think.
Interesting.
I mean, actually, I have the field goals he kicked were 33, 39, 41, 41, and 26. So, they weren't exactly like 50-plus yarders. They were relatively easy for today's kickers, I would say. And it's not like the conditions were horrible for kicking field goals. So I don't think he really deserved MVP, but he was definitely one of the stars of the game.
Maybe he got the Nickelodeon MVP.
Oh,
Maybe.
The orange blimp. All right, John, confession number 2. And you guys, I don't know. This is a Jets panel here, so we'll see what you say about confession number 2.
Sure.
John, Nick, and Dino. New England is a one-year wonder. They got absolutely lucky with a weak AFC and a snowstorm against the real defense in Santa Clara. They look like a junior varsity high school team. Mike Vrabel's dark side defense is the Seahawks' dark side defense is the real deal. The Pats' miracle season was a fraudulent year. Your thoughts, John?
We have not heard the last of New England, unfortunately. Like, he's our quarterback. He's their franchise quarterback. We will be worrying about him next year. I mean, they underperformed this year, but I would not count them out for next year. Not at all.
Dino, your thoughts?
No, I don't think they're a one-year wonder. Mike Vrabel already proved that he is a great coach in Tennessee, and he's going to only continue to improve now that he's with the team he used to play for in New England. And Drake May's going to continue to improve. Now, next year, I don't know. I mean, everybody made a big deal about them having an easy schedule this year. When you finish first, you have to face other first-place teams the next year. So it may not be as easy for them next year as it was this year. Having said that, I feel like the basis is there for them to potentially be good for many years. So even if they don't make it back next year, I feel like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next few years.
Mr. Morgeson?
This is the most ridiculous take of all time. Sorry. To say they're a one-year wonder, I mean, to go from, I said it before, going from 4 wins to 13, Mike Vrabel turning around the ship, the defense finally figuring it out, Drake May
winning a coach of the year, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, Vrabel winning a coach of the year when after the debauchery that happened in Tennessee with him being the head coach. I mean, that's a ridiculous take. I mean, it makes sense. It's coming from a bar. Someone must have been drunk given that take. We're not going to beat them. There's no way we're going to beat them. They're going to be better than us for the next 5 or 6 years, as long as Drake May is there. And they say about us all the time with the Jets, oh, we're the best defense. Are we really? Are we really the best defense? No,
not even close.
Not even close.
I don't think so.
The last time we had a decent defense was what, 2010, 2011, when we made back-to-back AFC championship games. I mean, we haven't made the playoffs in over 10 years. That should tell you how bad we are.
2 years.
You're welcome.
So
you're welcome from the gift from Nate Kading still, by the way.
Yeah. So they're not a one-hit wonder. They're gonna go on a long stretch. Now, as long as Drake May stays healthy, they'll be fine. If he improves, they'll be fine. So they just got to improve. They got to get another wide receiver, as I said earlier, and they got to protect Drake May better so that he doesn't get knocked down 6 times in a game. So they're not a one-hit wonder.
I mean, he got hit 11 times and sacked 6 times in the game on Sunday. So still, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but
that'll line.
They'll be fine.
All right, Dino, last confession for the night, my man. The Super Bowl commercials were a failure. If I have to see one more AI-generated talking dog talk about car insurance, I'm canceling my cable subscription. The $10 million price tag is officially on the public tab because the ROI is not there. Dino, your thoughts about maybe the commercials for the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have kind of gotten worse than they used to be. Like, there's nothing really that like I always loved when Super Bowl commercials were like particularly funny and stood out for for being extra funny than your average everyday commercial. I feel like we don't really get that anymore. The one I kind of liked was and they usually always have one of the best commercials, which was the Budweiser celebrating
Yes,
America's
that was my favorite.
250th. They're always they always go more for the heartfelt commercial, and so that's the one that kind of stood out to me. Other than that, nothing really stood out too much, unfortunately. But
yeah, Nick, we talked a bit on PR on Sunday about the commercial spots. I mean, Budweiser was my favorite. A little surprised that there weren't more movie spots. We did, though, confirm on Sunday that Marvel Studios and DC Comics chose to save their money for the Super Bowl. This year, Disney, of course, dropped the Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer as well for late May. So
there were Peacock shows that they were
there
promoting.
Were Peacock shows.
Yeah.
Scream 7 did have their trailer. But Nick, thoughts on the commercials, though?
I mean, obviously, Pepsi stealing the
Coca-Cola polar bear.
Coca-Cola polar bear was a decent one. I think they did a good job of playing that one through. I mean, thank God we didn't see like a billion FanDuel and DraftKings commercials during the game. Because if I see LeBron James and Kevin Hart one more time, I'm gonna throw something, or I'm gonna burst through the roof of my house because that commercial is getting annoying.
Where's the eject button?
I mean, so they did a few. Like they had the Super Mario Galaxy movie. They aired that promo a few times. I'm just going through a list because the Leonard Skinner's Freebird.
That was the Budweiser commercial.
The Budweiser.
Yes.
They did a really good job on that. And then there was one where they had Tom Brady and a bunch
Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Yes, with
Tom Brady, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Aniston, Alfonso Ribeiro.
And who was the other one from Seinfeld? Was it Seinfeld? I think Jason Alexander.
Jason Alexander,
Yes.
So like that was incredible. First of all, I want to know what that commercial cost to get all those guys in there, because for a 30-second spot, it was a record this year. You had to pay between $8 and $10 million just to get a 30-second spot during the commercials for the Super Bowl. Can you imagine having to pay $8 to $10 million just for 30 seconds? It better be a fucking damn good commercial if you're gonna spend that type of money.
I sure hope it would be.
Did you see? I mean, Coinbase just had like
the Backstreet Boys commercial, the karaoke one.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They were playing the lyrics to the Backstreet Boys.
So we saw this commercial, and my dad and my brother and I are sitting on the couch, and we're like, "What is this? Did someone like randomly just pay for karaoke to play on a commercial?"
And well, they paid $8 million to get on, but at least they didn't have to pay anything to actually make it.
That's true. By the way, the Backstreet Boys were in another commercial too, weren't they? The T-Mobile commercial,
yes.
I think.
T-Mobile commercial, yes.
By the way, the Backstreet Boys made out like heathens out there, like the music being used, and
they had their music playing today on Monday during the figure skating competition in Italy too by one of the French teams today.
So like it was okay, but the commercials, like Dino said, like I feel like they go a little overboard with the amount of celebrities they use in some of the commercials. Like they don't do anything. First of all, who's really watching the commercials really during the game? Like I never understood like, oh, these are the best commercials of the entire year. Like we have to make sure we sit and we watch the commercials. We live in a society now where we don't even sit and watch. We get up in between. Or if you're an NFL Red Zone fan like I am, you sit and you literally watch the game for 7 hours with, it's not commercial free anymore, but what is it, like 15-second spot now they put in? So,
I mean, even Gold Zone's doing that now on Peacock whenever I've gotten up to watch the Olympic Games.
Yeah, so like, was there anything that really stood out? No, just the polar bear commercial and the Clydesdale commercials, because they do those every single year, but it wasn't great. And to spend $8 to $10 million for 30 seconds is just ridiculous.
All right, guys, let's go back and talk more about Drake May with our second to last segment of the night here real quick. Nick, Drake May was hit 11 times and was sacked 6 times on Sunday. Nick, is the Patriots offensive line the biggest aftertaste of the Super Bowl? And does the loss change how we view Mike Vrabel's coaching style?
The offensive line needs help. That's not a question because they couldn't stop him from getting sacked. Yeah, big problem. Is it? This has nothing to do with Vrabel's coaching style. They won 14 games during the regular season. There's nothing wrong with his coaching style. The offensive line just imploded and caused him to get sacked a bunch of times, and that's why they lost the game. Yeah, this has nothing to do with Vrabel.
John, your thoughts on this? More about the offensive line, or maybe does Mike Vrabel tweak the coaching system next season?
I think that they got to work on the O-line. The O-line was not there. Just was not happening. Tom Brady, he barely got sacked because that O-line was monstrous. It was like a wall. Like he rarely got hurt, like hurt, like Joe Burrow, these other quarterbacks did. That O-line was like a wall. They were there to protect him. They were not there last night. They were not protecting Drake May.
Yeah, Dino, your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you always got to protect your quarterback. I already said I believe Mike Vrabel is a great coach. He won Coach of the Year. There's nothing more to say. You need to definitely beef up the O-line, protect your quarterback. If he's going to be your franchise guy, you got to protect him. You got to give him time to throw. If they do that, and they get a wide receiver, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with.
I definitely think so as well. All right, guys, let's get to one last segment here. We are going to pour one out for anybody that we can think of. So, Nick, you can pour one out tonight for the Patriots, Mike Vrabel, the Jets, or the Vikings for letting go of Sam Darnold.
Boy, I'm going to stick to the Super Bowl teams because I think those are the ones that we're talking about here. Wow, this is a tough one. I mean, I would pour one out for the Patriot fans. How about that one?
Yeah, that works.
Because they're overreacting to the result, even though, you know what, I thought going in that Seattle was the better team. It wasn't a question. Seattle was favored. They were a 4.5 favorite going in, which, by the way, I won 2 bets. I don't know if anyone else put money on the game. Did anyone else put money on the game?
No, gambling in California is a death sentence, sir.
What did you say, Dino?
I hit a box. So
I hit a box as well, but I bet on these games every week, so I had quite a few bets on the game, but yeah.
Yeah, so I hit on the 4.5, and I also hit on the under, barely. That almost touchdown by Kenneth Walker, I was ready to throw something at the screen.
Me too. I was going ballistic, and then I was told, wait, there's a penalty. I'm like, oh, okay.
I saw the flag come flying out, and then I see him run into the end zone. My brother's sitting next to me. He's like, "No, you idiot! Why did you run in?" And I think
there was no reason for him to run in. Like, if you go down, the game is over. Right. Why would you give the ball back to the Patriots?
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, it's a holding on the offense. I'm like, okay, it's still alive. The under's still alive. Like, and I was like, okay, so I hit on both. But yeah, I would pour one out for the Patriot fans because they panicked and they're way overreacting at this point in time. Drake May is going to be a good quarterback, and that's coming from a Jets fan sitting here, okay? I think Drake May is going to be a top 5 quarterback for many years to come. I think he will win an MVP at some point in his career. It shouldn't have been this close. Matthew Stafford should have ran away with the award. But Drake May is going to be a great quarterback under the Mike Vrabel system because he's a great coach that knows how to keep things in proper fashion and to build chemistry the right way. So, yeah, I'm pouring one out for the Patriot fans because they're overreacting.
All right, John, who you want to pour one out for tonight? It could be anybody involving the Super Bowl or the NFL as a whole. Who do you got?
I'm going to pour one out for the Patriot fans. You guys have your franchise quarterback. It must be nice. It must be nice to have somebody you can count on who can perform. God bless. I would kill to be a fly in that jet heading back to see what they had to deal with. I hope that at least 2 players couldn't find their luggage at the airport. I hope that there was some kind of TSA screening issue where their flight got delayed. I'm hoping there were some good arguments on that plane. You know what I mean? You did it. Be better. But they'll be fine. You guys will be fine. You guys have your guy. You guys clearly have your guy. You get another receiver, and we'll most likely see you next year.
All right, Dino, who you pouring one out for tonight, my friend?
I will pour one out for Stefon Diggs.
Ooh.
He, I mean, it was a pretty bad night for him. He did not perform on the field or off the field. So, he had 3 catches for 37 yards. He went. I could tell you as a betting guy, he went under his projected stats for the game. And plus, he's apparently no longer has a girlfriend. So, pretty bad night for Stefon Diggs. So I'll pour one out for him.
Yeah, guys, I'll pour a double for Coach Vrabel. Mike had the chance to be the first to win a ring as a player and a coach for the same team. Rather, he's going home with a silver medal and a lot of questions about the medical staff. So Coach Vrabel will have a double on the lounge here this evening. With that, though, gentlemen, in mind, as we come down to the end here and we lock up for the evening on this now Super Bowl Monday, let's take a look back at the wreckage left behind up in Santa Clara. Tonight, the dark side is not just the new nickname for a defense, but the new reality of the NFL. We have spent years wondering if the Seahawks could ever replicate that magic from a decade ago, and tonight we have our answer. They didn't simply win a ring. They broke a rookie spirit and proved that in a league obsessed with the next miracle quarterback, a relentless pass rush is still the ultimate equalizer. But more than the scores, though, I'm thinking about the human cost. Thinking about Drake May. In a locker room maybe right now with a numb shoulder and a heavy heart, realizing that the injection of hope the media fed us for 2 weeks was just a temporary fix for a permanent problem. Then, of course, Sam Darnold, the man who became a meme, the man who was written off by 3 different franchises, stands alone now as a Super Bowl champion and the first one ever from USC as quarterback to win it all. If that doesn't tell you everything we need to know about the resiliency required to sit at this bar and play this game, nothing may ever will. We do this show because sports is the only place where the ghost seer can become a ghostbuster. Maybe a show, though, too, where your elite host in San Diego can watch his hometown team walk away, find a new home watching Major League Soccer, but still find a way back to a neon sign and a microphone with the dog in his lap. Whether that's maybe Kenneth Walker the third running into a massive payday or John Ladder helping us find the humor of a 16-point blowout, the lounge is about these stories that happen after the confetti is swept up and put in the garbage can because we do sports talk the way it should be done every Monday on ETB. A massive thank you again to Nick Morgeson, Dino Taibbi, and John Ladder for helping me break down the biggest night of the year. The scoreboards are finally off. The NFL season is finally over. But, of course, our conversation is always staying warm. The lounge, with that in mind, folks, is officially at this rate closed until Saturday when Nick DiMartino was back with John Ladder and the rest of our comedians here on Saturday. The lounge might be closed, but the tab is never settled. We'll see you back here later this week as we head into the offseason of madness. Check us on the house, gang. Get home safe. We'll see you back here again on Saturday with Nick DiMartino and the rest of our weekend crew here on ETB. Till then, good night.
Have a good night, everybody.